Hey, what's up, everybody? Video 44 coming at you with another video. Alright, so figured I'd give you guys a little bit of Laker content. Austin Reeves has been kicking tail in the USA Summer League exhibition games. He and Anthony Edwards have just been phenomenal. I gotta say, Anthony Edwards looks like a superstar, man. He's gonna make a huge jump this year. I wouldn't be surprised if he's an MVP candidate this year, the way that boy's playing. It just would not shock me. I tell you, he looks like Michael Jordan, plays like Michael Jordan. I'm not sure we're not seeing the second coming of Michael Jordan. I'm not sure. I'm just putting it out there. I ain't sure. Are you sure? Anybody says they sure is lying. Don't be certain. But I kind of kid, but he is a very special young player, and I think Timberwolves got them one, but we got us one too, and we're understanding that Austin Reeves and the breakout is real, even though his role on that team doesn't allow for his stats to be overly inflated or anything like that. You can see the way that he plays with guys like Tyrese Halliburton, obviously the other guys, Brandon Ingram on the floor. You could just see how the chemistry works. He plays well with just about anyone, really. So I'm very excited about the young fella. I think he has a chance to be an intricate part of what it is that we're doing throughout the course of the regular season and, of course, playoffs. He's already been proven now to be a real playoff performer. So it's curious to me to consider what I think Darvin may want to do with the roster. We've talked about small ball. We've talked about, Anthony Davis at the 4, possibly starting Jackson Hayes, maybe the rumor in place that he was promised starting minutes this year. Whatever the case may be, it's going to be a lot of options that we have with our roster. And one of the things that I think I neglected to mention in the last Laker video when assessing our team was just how big of a role Max Christie is expected to have, and just how much pressure he will be expected to put on the rim this season, now that he has a year under his belt in regards to getting his body ready for that type of thing. So when I was assessing us and wondering who's going to do some attacking for our team, given the fact that I do believe we're going to be seeing some issues scoring in the paint at times, I do believe that he's someone who should very much take some steps forward in that regard. The dunks he had in the Summer League tells me he's going to be getting off the ground in the regular season too. So look out for Max Christie. I'm very excited about just what he's going to mean for our overall rotation. I personally thought that he should have been in rotation last season. As you all know, of course, we had a deep team with young players and everybody's role was filled, etc. But for me, I am very excited about the opportunity that is in front of young Max this year, given the fact that I know he is a defensive-minded player who has the length, definitely has the speed, and now has shown us he has the upside on the offensive end to really put it all together and be a special player in this league. So for me, I just dropped the ball yesterday. It wasn't because I don't expect for him to have a role. I just didn't think of the young fella. But he's going to be somebody we don't forget about going forward. He's going to leave his mark on this team. So I'm excited about Max Christie, and won't be forgetting about him again. So, yeah, man, this is a deep team. I got to give Rob Pelinka more credit because as I further assess our roster, I find that there is still more to assess based on certain players that you just almost forget are on the team, or just flat out, as I did, forget are on the team. We haven't seen this unit on the floor, so all of the various different dynamics that may be possible have yet to be realized. So that's really what it comes down to. I'm more than eager to see this team get started, at least see some training camp exhibition. How are we going to run our rotations? What does Darvin Ham see in his mind in regards to this team? Just curious to know what he sees there. What is his vision for the style that this roster is going to play with? Are we going to continue on the path that we were on last year? Same play style, same everything. I think we have enough of the same personnel to where we can simulate plenty of what we did last year. But I think we also have some strengths that this year that we didn't have last year that can make it so that there may be ways to incorporate a bit more. I think our Obviously, our shooting is better. I think our margin for error behind the arc is much greater this year. As I've said, I think we can up our 3-point total as a team, so long as we have the right people attempting those shots. How does that defined? I don't know. Unfortunately, I'd love to say, "Oh, Bron, just stop shooting," but the reality is, it's not that simple. Guys shoot the ball to create space. Guys shoot the ball to conserve energy. Guys shoot the ball because they've shot the ball more than anyone else in the history of the sport. So you just kind of got to live with that in year 21. But I do think that LeBron James shooting poorly can hurt the overall team 3-point expectation as it pertains to how good of a team we're going to be. If he's shooting at volume and breaking at volume, it could take away from our overall 3-point efficiency, obviously. But even more so glaring in regards to him defining our identity. So that's what's important. I'd like to think LeBron James' foot's going to be feeling a lot better, and with that should incorporate a bit more movement to start the season than we're able to see in the Western Conference Finals, where I thought he was giving it a good effort, but probably shouldn't have been out there. So hopefully this offseason he's been able to get 100% healthy, work some things out physically so that he can get back out there and get ready for the rigors of his schedule once again, and lead this team, because we really need him to have a better season than last year shooting the ball specifically. That's what I'll say. Everything else has to be fully assessed, but shooting the ball, he left a lot to be desired, and I'm pretty sure he would say that too. Now, historically, he's not that great of a 3-point shooter, but you just want to see better plays run. I think that's what I want to say. Better plays run overall with the young players that ultimately need more reps. I know we're not here to babysit. Obviously, we're trying to win a championship, but the more responsibility we give the young guys, the more mistakes they make, the sooner they can learn from those mistakes and ultimately be reliable players for us. And so, given the fact that we have injury expectations, given the fact that we have older guys, stuff like that, in key roles, I think it's probably best that we utilize the young players and give them as much opportunity to develop as soon as possible so we can use them as much as needed. Now, granted, we do have our vets like Gabe Vincent and Taurean Prince that can really, really help us. I do expect that we'll sign somebody at the center position that'll likely be in that elk as well. Maybe a Bismack Biyombo, Christian Wood. I would love for us to take a look at Usman Garuba, and we'll have a little bit of a conversation about that going forward, because I've done some thinking as well about that. But all in all, I just feel like we do have enough older guys here to provide us what it is that we'd be looking for in experience and otherwise just kind of make up for the potential slumping of young players or what have you. You don't want to be relying on a Jalen Hood-Schifino on an off night. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. So D'Angelo Russell, players like that, we have a very deep team. So that's what's really intriguing to me. It's just looking at overall just how many different ball handlers we've been able to put on this squad this year. Although we lost Dennis Schroeder, guys like Cam Reddish can handle the ball from a different position, sort of like Bron. Austin Reeves now gets more ball handling duties, which I'm excited about. And I think Gabe Vincent, he's mentioned that he believes himself to be a better ball handler and point guard than he was able to be used in Miami. They kind of had him as a spot-up shooter role, kind of, catching the ball off of other playmakers. He's told us in an interview, I think it was with J.J. Redick, that he believes himself to be more of a traditional point guard to his core and could take on more ball handling duties for our team. So I don't know if I misquoted him, you know what I mean? I'm not saying he says himself to be a pure point guard. That might not have been what he said. But the point is, I think he can handle much more ball handling with us. And I'm optimistic that maybe he can be a really solid, just overall floor general if asked to be that for pockets at a time. So I have a lot to learn about this player, but I'm very excited about what I've seen thus far from him in Miami. So it's a lot there to assess and say positive things about before the season starts. Looking at this team, on paper, it's pretty dang exciting. I love the idea of the lob threat of a Jackson Hayes. When you consider D'Angelo Russell and LeBron James, Austin Reeves, Jalen Hood-Schifino, those guys are going to be looking to make easy plays, and that is exactly the type of player they can benefit from the most, get easy assists off of without any concern. So I'm very excited about us utilizing him in a way that maybe we weren't able to utilize Damian Jones last season. It just didn't look that great in our rotation. I'd like to think that we can kind of learn from that and give Jackson Hayes better looks than we gave Damian Jones. Above the rim, man. More lobs, man. Also, Vanderbilt. Very excited and intrigued to see how we're going to utilize Vanderbilt, what positions we decide to play him. Are we going to have him hounding guards? Are we going to have him in more offensive plays and things of that nature that allow him to kind of be a little more dynamic? I think he's a better passer and playmaker than we've had our opportunity to utilize him and in seeing. And one of the things that we often want Vanderbilt to do is finish plays in the corner shooting tray ball. I think instead of having him in those actions, why not utilize his passing ability and have him creating the pass for others to make the plays? Defenses are obviously going to leave deficient shooters open at all times. You don't want to hunt out those shots and say just because the deficient shooter is open, that's a good shot. No, it's not. They're leaving it open for a reason. You want to hunt out something else. So that used to drive me crazy when I'd see those plays last year, and then they would be the determining factor of whether or not Vanderbilt will get playing time. I don't think that that's the way I want to see this going this year. He is too much of a Swiss Army knife defensively who can create something out of nothing far too often to look at his one very glaring weakness, exploit that, and then when it doesn't manifest into positivity upon being exploited, discard all of the other things that he could bring to the table and then bring in somebody else who has even more deficiencies, who is less likely to help you in certain cases last year. So it's like, nah, put Vanderbilt on the floor, utilize what he does best, and just allow him to pass in certain offensive possessions where we otherwise work the ball around for him to shoot. So that's just something I think we can do. We just got to have more of an imagination and accept that the defense create an open shot for a bad shooter is not a good offensive play. That's what I want to say. It's a philosophy thing. I think coaches say open shot is great, but if a bad shooter is shooting the ball, it's just going to have to be rebounded. That's all it really is. So I'd like us to work more easy buckets into the equation. We do have these lob threats. We do have more kind of creative offensive talent in a guy like Cam Reddish. Some of our other guys that we picked up, my mind's gone blank, but Demoy Hodge and his catch and shoot ability, I'd imagine he'd get some playing time here and there. Taurean Prince the same way. I just feel like there are more ways to create scoring away from Bron and AD this season than maybe we had last year. We should be a bit more talented shooting the ball and ultimately scoring it in general. So I hope that translates that way. I like the idea of having fast-paced playmakers like Austin Reeves and Jalen Hood-Schifino playing on the floor together, defense to offense. Obviously, Max Christie as well. So I'm extremely excited about just what we can do in transition this season with some of our personnel. I just feel like we do have more two-way talent than I gave us credit for last night when assessing the team. I said we had a lot of one-way guys, but we do have more two-way guys this season than we did last year, that's for sure. Taurean Prince, again, guys I've already mentioned, Gabe Vincent, Cam Reddish. Cam Reddish is a gifted defensive player. So we're going to be pleasantly surprised at just how much he's going to be able to help us when you put him on the floor next to Max Christie, next to Anthony Davis, next to Vanderbilt. We really do have some significantly talented defensive players who should be able to hit a shot on the other side. So for those who are assessing the LA Lakers and saying we can win a championship, if our core is healthy, we are one of the teams that should be in contention. I really believe that. I don't know that we're the favorite. I'm not going to waver from the fact that I don't believe we are the favorite as I assess it right now. But we do have a very capable team. And every team around the league has a glaring weakness of some sort. So it's not like your glaring weakness is going to leave you vulnerable to the field more so than anyone else. I like us. That's what I'm here to say. I don't think that's going to be a hot take. I think most analysts like the Lakers this season. It's just a lot to really be appreciative of as it pertains to the depth of the overall team, the experience of the core, the overall ascension of the guys that you just signed, and where they are in their careers. All guys that are either entering their prime or have yet to. It's just a really, really good situation for the LA Lakers. The roster looks great. The pieces are tradable and desirable to keep. You don't have any drama going on, for which a lot of teams do right now, as we can clearly see. And so you can see how fast the Lakers have turned this thing around, and have to tip your hat to all parties involved, because it wasn't but maybe 16 months ago when we were talking about needing to clean house and we hated everything we saw, and there was nothing a whole lot to like. They turned this thing around fast, ladies and gentlemen. And so I don't know if we're going to take a step forward this season as it pertains to the overall outcome of our season, because we got to the Western Conference Finals last year, and that ain't easy to do. So, we're going to push forward and do the best we can. But one thing's for certain, going into this season, all things considered, I'm pleased with our front office. And I did not see a path to being able to say that very much last year, to be honest with you. I think we're one of the more competent teams in the league. I think we're in a good space with our roster, as I've said. I think our coaching situation is healthy. And I just feel like our overall team health is in a place where it hasn't been since we won a championship in probably 2010. I wouldn't even say 2020. This is before that. We have a structure in place right now that we can really feel comfortable about. In the year we won 2020, I think we were kind of on one-year deals. That's really what it came down to. We were just kind of winning a championship with guys on their last hurrah to make up the full team. But now we got pieces that we could say, whether our core stays with us or if they for some reason end up somewhere else, we still got a bunch of pieces that we could feel legitimately excited about. Guys whose future our fan base is now officially invested in. So, I couldn't be more happy. I think this is what it's about. And I think that because our guys are tradable, the ability to dream about random superstar coming to our team in 2026 is a reasonable thing. And that's ultimately what we also want, is to be flexible enough to dream. Because there's always going to be a superstar that we can superimpose our uniform on and talk about coming to our team 3 years ahead of time. So if we have a healthy situation going on, then chances of us being able to actually manifest something like that can be really high. So that's where I'm at with overall where our team currently is. Barring no bad luck with health, I think the LA Lakers are in a position to stand firm for the next 5 to 6 years. Barring they don't make any bad decisions, they can keep this team together. So that's really what it looks like to me. I like where we're at. And I think we're on the path to loving where we're at. I think that we're continuing to build in the right direction. As they continue to find young talent, Demoy Hodges and Fudge and Castletons, I just truly, truly believe that we can once again develop ourselves into being one of the more dominant franchises in the league. And so I think the best is yet to come. We just got to stay the course. And that means not trading for James Harden or Dame Lillard or anything else that's going to throw our books into a frenzy and mess with our timeline. We just got to stay the course. So that's what I want to see, is a whole lot of relaxing at this point. Not as it pertains to becoming lazy, but as it pertains to not hastily doing really much of anything as it pertains to our front office. Sign our center and let's get this thing started, because there will be temptation out there to make trades. There will be temptation out there to try to make your team better. We just got to make sure that everything we have going on after we make that trade looks as good as it does right now, because we're happy. And that's the point. So yeah, man, D'Angelo Russell, I'm curious to see how he bounces back from last season. I think it's almost expected that the Lakers will shop him at some point. But if for some reason he steps back into the player that he was when he was at his best, maybe back in Brooklyn or Golden State when he was really balling, I could totally see the Los Angeles Lakers being very pleased with him and not trading him at all. I respect that he had some issues last year trying to stay on the floor. I don't know that those issues will be back this year. I hope that they're not. And if they're not, I don't see any reason why he can't come in and feel much more comfortable and confident in the role that he's in this year than he was last year when traded to the team. That's what it really comes down to. A year with a training camp with this squad, having already been in some real playoff wars with these guys, I just think that you could potentially see D'Angelo Russell being a bounce-back candidate this season. Nobody sees it coming. I think he's as good a candidate to do that as anybody in the league, to be honest with you, because the expectations are so low. His capability is so high, and the situation allows for open shots and opportunities to get easy assists off of guys like AD, Bron, and Austin Reeves, who's going to be both scoring off of him and looking to get him the ball. So with more playmakers in place, I think it's reasonable to say that D'Angelo Russell's piece is going to look better this year than it did last year. And I think the incorporation of another big guard in Jalen Hood-Schifino, I think you could potentially see some lineups with him and D'Angelo Russell together. And I'm very much intrigued by what that looks like. Austin Reeves, Max Christie, we just have a rotation of ball handlers this year who are going to be able to play off one another and turn defense into offense. I think D'Angelo Russell could potentially be more effective on the defensive side based on just how much overall defensive talent should be on the floor next to him this year. Last year he was on the floor with guys like Lonnie Walker at times. It made for bad defensive rotations. I think when you put a guy like Vincent on the floor, or like I said, Jalen, obviously, the guys already mentioned, you're just going to expect to see better overall defensive plays. So dare I say one of the best defensive teams in the league got better in the LA Lakers defensively. So yeah, that's what I see. It's just a guy like D'Angelo Russell who does have defensive deficiencies but can make plays on the defensive end, stealing the ball and stuff like that, reading plays and reacting. I think there's going to be an opportunity for him to be a plus on the defensive side, more so than he probably ever has been in his career. So this is an intriguing situation. He's going to be pressed for minutes, though. Like I said, with all these guys ball handling, all these point guard level players, plus Bron, there will be times where guards are going to have to sit. So we've already mentioned that in previous videos. Guys are going to have to respect that they may not get their numbers this year based on how many guards are in rotation, and forwards and everybody else with the ball handler. But we'll have better small ball lineups because of it, and I think we'll be an overall bigger team as we continue to experiment with small ball lineups. So it won't have that same dynamic, leaving us without the ability to rebound and all the other stuff that we complain about at times. So yeah, man, just intrigued about the overall structure of how this roster is built. I'm happy with it. I think it looks good. I think we could add one or two more pieces, make us a bit more athletic and obviously a bit more defensive in the paint, and then we would be set to go. Salute the Kobe minute. But really, that's where my head goes, man. Of course, with my phone being as it is, there's not much time left to speak here. But of course, I wanted to tap in with everybody and continue to give you content throughout the summertime about our squad and others as well. Of course, my focus has been Feely and James Harden and everything that has to do with that situation. And of course, Dame Lillard, that's really where the money's at in regards to topics. But of course, I'm always tapped in with the Lakers. Got some new jerseys. I forgot to mention that. kind of look like a triangle font like the Toronto Raptors use. Um, it says Los Angeles, and we kept the same number font. Do they call that font? Whatever the case, the numbers are the same as they've always been with the black Hollywood jerseys. Hollywood Knights jerseys is what we used to call them. But now instead it says Los Angeles in a bit of a triangle, so to speak. So I think they're okay. It has sort of a throwback kind of feel to it. I get the vibes that the Utah Jazz were using with their black and yellow jerseys. In a way, it's kind of like a throwback slash, MPLS type of, and that means Minneapolis Lakers font type of thing. So it's not bad. I like it. I like what they're doing. I'm not in love with it, but I don't dislike it. And I just want us to get alternate floors, and I also want to see the blue jerseys for that triangle font type of jersey. So hopefully they do give us multiple colors for that. So yeah, that's where my head is, man. That is the gist of the thought. It's keeping my ears open for the Lakers to sign somebody at that center position. And I wanted to get into the Usman Garuba thing. That's what it was, but I only got a minute left to talk. The long and the short of the Usman Garuba opinion is, I just think it's going to be very difficult for us to sign him to a contract we want to sign him to if we don't have any other two-way contracts to offer. I think he's a two-way guy for us, but we would have to sign him to a real guy contract. And I don't know if the Lakers will want to give him that commitment, knowing he's an underdeveloped talent. And we have other underdeveloped talents we may like more than him, who likely won't be on. He'll be on a worse contract than him. So that's something that I think I don't know enough about to really educate anybody on, but that's kind of how I see it in my mind's eye. It's like, if we sign him, we're going to sign him to something we probably don't want to sign him to, because we don't have any more two ways to offer him. So I think that could be a deterrent for the Lakers signing Usman Garuba, but do not quote me on that. So that's pretty much the gist of it, man. My name is BDF44. I thank you all for watching. I'm out.